is an urgent conjure emergency broadcast. Attention residents, containment breach has an announced signature. Your containment breach, residence containment breach, imagine emergency broadcast.
Albert Pierrepoint's story reads like a cross between a British working-class drama and a very morbid comedy, starring none other than the son of famed executioner Henry Pierrepoint, a kind of family business that involved more ropes and less paperwork than most. Born on March 30th, 1905 in Yorkshire, England, Albert grew up in the shadow of the gallows, his father Henry and Uncle Tom both taking turns as England's official hangman. While most kids stare dreamily out the window and fantasize about being astronauts, Albert knew from an early age he wanted to be an executioner. Perhaps because he was tired of all the talk about the drop at family dinners and wanted to see it for himself. Albert's childhood wasn't filled with elaborate biscuit-stealing pulley systems like his father's. Instead, he preferred to spend his time perfecting his dart throwing, a skill he argued was excellent for hand-eye coordination, essential for precision work. His mother, bless her, simply hoped he'd find a hobby that didn't involve such sharp objects. Albert Pierrepoint, son of the famously witty executioner Henry Pierrepoint, inherited a rather unique set of family heirlooms, a meticulous ledger of drop calculations, an uncanny knack for knot tying, and a steely constitution. When it came time for Albert to officially join the family business, Albert signed up, learning the ropes from his Uncle Thomas Pierrepoint, as his father Henry Pierrepoint died when he was only 17 years old. The young Pierrepoint proved to be quick and efficient. He could dispatch a condemned man in about 12 seconds, a briskness that would make even the busiest barista take notes. He sometimes travelled the country, not for pleasure, but to perform the will of the court, and perhaps try the local ale. Albert became known for his incredible speed and dignity. He was a professional, a technician. There were no dramatics, no lingering. He once famously said, "If a man cannot be hanged, it's not the man's fault, it's the fault of the equipment," which, for Albert, was less a philosophical statement and more a firm directive to ensure the equipment was always in perfect working order. One particularly chilly morning, as Albert prepared for a scheduled hanging, the prison governor, a rather flustered man named Mr. Finch, hovered nervously. "Mr. Pierrepoint," Finch stammered, "I do hope everything is to your satisfaction. The preparations." Albert, calmly adjusting a buckle, glanced at him with an almost imperceptible raise of an eyebrow. "Mr. Finch," he replied, his voice a low rumble, "my satisfaction is entirely predicated on the swift execution of the task at hand. And given the chill, I imagine the deceased would agree." Mr. Finch paled slightly, not entirely sure if Albert was making a joke or simply stating a grim fact. Albert, meanwhile, was already mentally ticking off his checklist. He wasn't one for idle chatter or the theatrical flourishes his father might have indulged in. Over a 25-year career, Albert became the celebrity hangman, executing between 435 and 600 people, including notorious murderers and Nazi war criminals such as William Joyce and Timothy Evans. He once hanged his own pub regular. The duo had previously sung duets in the bar, which gives open mic night a very dark twist, and kept his day job running a Lancashire pub, possibly the only place you could get both a pint and a chilling reminder of justice, all from the same hands. Despite the grim nature of his calling, Albert maintained a kind of grim wit and decency, insisting the event was sacred and not to be approached with gallows humour, although his autobiography is sprinkled with dry observations that only a Pierrepoint could make. In a twist worthy of the British tradition of irony, Albert later concluded that capital punishment didn't actually deter crime. Albert Pierrepoint's life was a peculiar blend, equal parts precision, pub life and public service, leaving behind a legacy that's equal parts chilling and, in the most British of ways, just a little bit wry. I leave you, friends, with 5 quotes from the executioner's son, the greatest of them all, Albert Pierrepoint. All the men and women whom I have faced at that final moment convince me that in what I have done, I have not prevented a single murder. I have come to the conclusion that executions solve nothing and are only an antiquated relic of a primitive desire for revenge which takes the easy way and hands over the responsibility for revenge to other people. The trouble with the death penalty has always been that nobody wanted it for everybody, but everybody differed about who should get off. It is sacred to me. That sanctity must be most apparent at the hour of death. A condemned prisoner is entrusted to me. The supreme mercy I can extend to them is to give them and sustain in them their dignity in dying and death. It is said to be a deterrent. I cannot agree. For Albert Pierrepoint, the executioner, it was about doing the job, doing it well, and ensuring that everyone involved, from the condemned to the prison staff, experienced the least amount of fuss possible. He was, in his own stoic, efficient way, a master of final goodbyes, leaving behind not just a legacy, but also a surprisingly well-oiled machine. Albert Pierrepoint died on July 10, 1992, in Southport, Merseyside, England, at the ripe old age of 87. Like this story from the Red Plaid Files, don't just scroll on by, comment, smash that like button, tag a friend who loves true crime, and thank you for listening.